everybody. Let's get into it. It's a lot of changes, but they are very straightforward. In this hack, there are a lot of new pseudo legendaries and semi pseudo legendaries, what I call them. Those are 575 and 600 based on total mons. Most of those are mixed attackers. Magnezone is actually one of the few exceptions. The reason he is a pseudo is purely because the stats just make a lot more sense being higher, and because I didn't want him outclassed by a Violate Magneton. So even if I left Magneton stats unchanged, he would still be arguably better than Magnezone in a lot of cases. And so I wanted to, keep them both equal. So a Violet Magneton is still incredible. Also, another reason I gave them buffs is because they did lose the ability Analytic, which is a very good boosting ability that gave them a 30% boost, as opposed to Galvanize, which only gives a 20% boost to normal type moves and turns them electric, which is situationally a much better ability, especially because they aren't nearly as slow anymore. So Galvanize is actually better than Analytic in most cases. But regardless, I still felt like they needed some extra stuff. Also, in this hack, the power levels are much higher, so something as strong as Magnezone should still stay very strong. Just looking at the design, like, this motherfucker should definitely be a special attacking monster. Again, losing Analytic means that he does need more better stats. And yes, oh my god, Levitate, people are going to be like, oh my god, it is so broken with Levitate. Yeah, in competitive, it would be fucking busted with Levitate. Especially because you couldn't really tell if it's running, like, dude, imagine if it had like Analytic, Levitate, and Magnapole. You couldn't tell which set it's running. That would be so toxic and evil. No, I totally understand in real games why it doesn't have Levitate. In this hack, there are a billion ways to get around this. There are a billion ways to hit it hard. There's tons of ways you can hit it powerfully. You can also just, you can really bypass it in a lot of ways. So Levitate is really not that crazy. It's just a really good ability. Logically, it makes no sense why they don't have Levitate. So I also prioritize that to an extent. Like, their animation is literally floating. They fly around like they should be immune to ground, period. So yes, they only have two weaknesses to fire and fighting, similar to Ferrothorn, although Ferrothorn is a 4x weakness to fire, but, very good defensive typing nonetheless. And of course, incredible resistances, 4x to steel and flying, and it resists every other type in the game besides Ghost, Dark, and Water, and it kills water types. So yes, it is an extremely good Pokemon. A Violet Magneton is also very bulky. I did give it more special defense and HP, so it's even tankier, and it still has its great 120 special attack, and it's actually slightly faster. So the line as a whole gets +5 speed each time they evolve, which is great. So Magnezone has 80 base speed, and the main balancing factor here is the lack of coverage. So they only have Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, Weather Ball, Hidden Power, Signal Beam, and Power Gem as coverage moves, and then they have Dual Stab, of course. Of course, your Electric Stab is so powerful with Galvanize to the point where you only need stuff that resists Electric, and you have some neutral hits. You can hit an Electric type neutrally with Dazzling Gleam or Psychic, which is really all they needed. And there's also solid coverage moves. Of course, Weather Ball is great, and under Rain, for example, Weather Ball in the Rain is so powerful. You get that Water type Weather Ball. You can use Thunder, whatever you want. It's really nice. And of course, you can get Ice type Weather Ball in the Hail with Hail teams. That's awesome. And then you can also get, well, Rock type is kind of useless because you have Power Gem. And then Sun is useful, but you also have Detonate for fire type moves. Detonate is a fire type version of Explosion. Explosion is essentially 350 base power now because it's 375, excuse me. Because it's 250 base power, but it always crits and it's special. So both Explosion and Detonate are special moves. So Explosion is special, 250 base power becomes 375 when it crits because it's a 100% crit move. So that's incredibly powerful. It also bypasses stuff like your special attack drops. So for example, Galvanize Hyper Beam plus Galvanize Explosion means instant kill on like anything really, even unless it's a ground type, obviously. Because Galvanize Hyper Beam is 192 base power, -2 special attack after you use it. Very, very good move via TM. Also, strength should be a plus right there, or I can just remove it honestly. But does it get strength normally? Let's see. Let's check. It doesn't. Okay, then yeah, just delete that. Honestly, I should remove Taunt too. I don't see Taunt on them. And let's go to make sure they don't have Taunt. Magneton. Excuse me, everybody. Also, they do have access to reliable recovery now and Fortify and Recharge. Fortify is Steel type recover. Simple as that. Fortify is Steel type recover, while Recharge is incredible. Right? Recharge is actually Recharge is 1/3 healing as opposed to 1/2, like Recover and Fortify and stuff. So it heals a little bit less, but 130 is still good, and it actually doubles the power of your next electric attack, and that does work with Galvanize. So you can use fucking Recharge and then click Galvanize Hyper Beam and completely obliterate something, or even Explosion if you want to be funny. Z Supersonic gives you a +2 special attack boost, which is great. Z Lock On at level 68 gives you a +3 special attack boost, which is even more powerful with stuff like Priority Shockwave, and Magnetic Burst is also Priority. Both of those are 55 base power moves that are +2 priority. So you have Dual Stab, Magnetic Burst, Shockwave, Priority, which is awesome. Rapid Spin is pretty useful for speed boosting sets. You also have Agility, and then at level 70 you get Autotomize, which is actually reworked. Obviously, most of these moves are all changed or buffed in some way. There are also tons of new moves. So if you're curious, please feel free to just check out the description down below. You can look at all these moves and move changes yourself. They are listed in very good format, so it's not difficult to see them and find them. If you just go to the move change guide here and you just Control F it, for example, Autotomize, I can search up, and here you go. Now there it is. And they're also organized by type if that is better for you. So yeah, Autotomize now gives you +5 speed, and you lower. Oh yeah, it should be defenses. Lowers both your defenses by 1. Autotomize. I wanted to make it recoil, like it takes half your HP for like, it's like Belly Drum but for speed, I was thinking, but sadly it's not possible to program or to do, because I can only work with changes. I can't actually add anything completely new, although I do have new abilities that were like creative workarounds, but those are still taken from the original abilities, such as like Sinister and Envy and Rapid Fire and stuff. But anyways, it's really awesome, man. So you do have access to Levitate or Galvanize. You also have access to infinite ability capsules, so you can just swap between your abilities as needed. You have Parabolic Charge, which is incredible. Parabolic Charge is a healing move, so it's 70 base power. It heals you by half, so it's like Electric Type Giga Drain, essentially. That's an awesome option. Just really good, especially on Assault Vest sets on Magnezone. Obviously, Magneton can run and should be running. I mean, Magneton can still use Specs and Scarf really well because it has 75 base speed and 120 base special attack. It can also use tons of billion other items. You know, you can use a Chopple Berry or an Aqua Berry for a specific boss fight, you know, or if you need Galvanize, you still need to take a ground move for some reason. I don't know what situation you'd need that for, but then you can run Shuka Berry, of course, but yeah, that kind of stuff is great. And again, a Violet Magneton is bulkier than Magnezone overall because of, yes, obviously Magnezone is very bulky. Like, for example, Assault Vest Magnezone is overall bulkier than Magneton, but Magneton's defense, even though it's only base 95, is still higher than Magnezone's 130 with the Violet by a good margin, a very significant margin. And it's only 5 points slower. The main issue is the special attack, and also the fact that as Magneton, you are limited in your items a little bit more than Magnezone, but Magnezone is obviously much more powerful and also has good natural bulk and can still run stuff like Assault Vest. Back on topic with the explosion stuff. So yeah, the Galvanized Explosion is 450 base power. It's funny, haha, Explosion does 1 billion damage. Really, really funny. Same with like Electrode and other Galvanized mons, and Refrigerate mons and other stuff, Pixelate, etc. Then you have Detonate, which is the same thing, but instead of critting, it's fire type and it burns, which is arguably better, obviously. So basically, you have Explosion, which is 450 base power electric type move with Galvanize, and then you have Detonate, which is 250 base power fire type move that always burns, and also fire type has great coverage on Magnezone, obviously. You can actually run a Z Detonate for a 250 base power fire type Z move. If you want to use that, that's a really good option. If you need to use that, plus like Autotomize Z Detonate to like bypass, like, you know, to bypass. What am I trying to say here? To blast past a Pokemon that resists your stabs or your coverage moves, of course, which are pretty limited for balancing reasons and also for logical reasons. The only other coverage move I could maybe put would be Energy Ball, but that would be overpowered as hell, so I didn't give it to him. You know, they are the only Steel Electric side. No, sorry, there's Togedemaru and then maybe even more. But what I meant to say is that they're the only. What did I mean to say? I don't remember. The point is, you have solid coverage. Power Gem is pretty good too. 90 base power. Dazzling Gleam's 80 has a 1 in 4 chance. Dazzling Gleam and Signal Beam have a 1 in 4 chance to boost your special attack, and they're 80 base power. Psychic and Power Gem are 90 base power. Power Gem has the same special attack chance, 1 in 4 chance to boost it, which is awesome. Charge Beam's great. You know, Charge Beam plus Autotomize is great. Z Supersonic plus Autotomize. Z Supersonic plus Agility. You know, you can run Double Dance Sense really well because you're really tanky. You can actually double dance up pretty easily. What else is there? Flash Cannon is buffed. You have very strong electric type moves as well. Zap Cannon, for example, is like a weaker version of the Galvanized Hyper Beam. Zap Cannon is 150 base power on its own, but of course you can use Zap Cannon on Levitate sets. Hyper Beam is not that good on Levitate sets. So you have Zap Cannon for Levitate sets, and of course you have Reteachable Hyper Beam via TM for Galvanized sets, which is 42 base power stronger than Zap Cannon, which is incredible. Plasma Shot is nice with Lock On. Z-Lock On gives you +3 special attack. You can use that with priority, or you can use that with Double Dance or Autotomize with that +5 speed. With base 80 speed or base 75 speed, Autotomize is incredible because you don't need to run any speed investment, and at +5 you still outspeed literally everything. Like, it's extreme overkill speed. As you can see, that's extremely fast. Nothing will outspeed you after an Autotomize, which is really nice. Of course, that does drop your defenses by 1, so you might want to run White Herb, or you might just want to make sure that you're one-shotting everything, which is not that hard, but your coverage is limited. So you can run really tanky sets, really tanky sets with just, reliable recovery, recharge, fortified, parabolic charge, Violite, Assault Vest, Strange Impulse, drop special attack by 2. You got Metal Sound, drop special defense by 2. It's really nice moves. Also for Galvanize, you have access to Commotion and Tri Attack as well, on top of Hyper Beam and Explosion. So Commotion is 85 base power, becomes 102 base power with Galvanize, and that always confuses. Which is really nice. Obviously, confusion is not the most reliable thing in the world, but it's still good. And then Tri Attack is incredibly powerful. That hits 3 times, and it's 35 base power per hit for a total of 105 base power. If you just came off of this watching the Golem video, all of these moves will be very familiar because obviously Golem gets all these. Alone Golem gets all of these options as well. But of course, Magnezone has a higher special attack set and overall different traits. Yeah, it's just really awesome, really great. I had to give them rocks as well, just because I mean, it's only really useful for breaking focus ashes in game. It's not great in game. It's not like it's competitive or anything. Speaking of, yes, this would be ridiculously competitive. I'm not crazy, guys. Like, the meta is just way different in game than it is for competitive. So, yeah, especially when all the other Pokemon are all powerful as hell too. Like, Magnezone is nothing that crazy at all. Although, yes, it is very strong, but so is the Violet Magneton, which is why I had to do this because, yeah, I could have left Violet Magneton's Split F unchanged. I wanted to buff the HP because it's not that small, so I would have given at least 60 HP, and then I would have like maybe dropped. I could have kept it as 70 Split F and 70 speed, and that would be for 65 base stat total, and I would just leave it as a unique base stat total, and I would have Magnezone as a semi-pseudo at 575 with slightly less defense and special defense. But overall, I would have kept the 80 base speed. Also, yes, for the speed stats, I didn't like how Magnezone lost speed because it talks about how it flies around here, and it doesn't seem like it would be very slow. He can fly around. He's like a little UFO motherfucker. He could fly around relatively fast. 80 base speed is really good as like Scarf. You also, again, have the priority options. It's just a really strong mon, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. Just a really powerful option. It's obviously balanced, just in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing that insane. Also, yes, you do have Swift with Galvanize early game, which is 11 base power stronger than Shockwave and the same amount of priority, so that's pretty cool if you want to run that. Yeah, I don't know. Electro Ball is great for boosting your speed. Electro Ball gives you +1 speed. That's really good. Also, Autotomize Electro Ball is insane if you want to run that. If you kept it the whole time, Autotomize Electro Ball is really awesome because at that point you're getting like here. I'll even run a calc. 80 Electro Ball at +5 speed with no investment on I don't fucking know, on a Mew. Just hypothetical. I don't know why. Mew was just like equal and everything. So bulky Mew. Okay. Your yeah, dude, Electro Ball is so stupid. Look at that damage. How was that only fucking 80 base power? Such a bad move sometimes, which is why I gave it the plus speed effect. At +6, you still only have 80 base power. Yeah, that is sad. With max investment, though, you're going to be hitting to 120 base. Yeah, 120 base power Electro Ball right there, which is really great. So that's awesome. That's about it, honestly. Just super great options here. Coverage is reasonable, but nothing over the top. I think I heard about everything, so thank you for listening to this one. Again, it's not overpowered, just in the grand scheme of the hack, it's really not that overpowered. It's just a solid, good, strong mon. Tons of ways to counterplay again around it, of course. It's still great. I mean, it's really strong. Don't get me wrong, these buffs are awesome. I love Magnezone and Magneton, if you couldn't tell, but they're not in my like top 30 even. They're just cool mons. I like them. Magneton's kind of lame, but Magnezone's cool. But if I like Magneton is obviously great. Yeah, just really, that's about it. And of course, running held items is really important. So you might be thinking, well, why wouldn't I just keep Magneton? Because even though Magnezone's strong, besides the power, it's better in every way. It's 5 speed lower and has less special attack, but otherwise it's way bulkier. And you would be right in that, but you're wrong in how the fact that the point is like Magnezone runs Scarf and Specs better because it's stronger and faster, and it can also run a billion other items like Akka or all these other items that you want to run, Assault Vest, etc. while Magneton can't run that, it only runs a Violet, and then every once in a while it might run a Scarf or a Specs or whatever, Aqua. It can still run that. It has good stats on its own, 40 base stat total is very good. So yeah, and that evolves at 25 and 45, which is the levels that pseudos evolve at now. All of them evolve at 25 and 45. So yeah, you'll have Magnezone by mid-Ulula if you do want to evolve it, and then you'll have Magneton by mid-Akala. So let's also, I forgot to change those because these were semi-pseudos at one point. So let's just put in Magnemite 25. Zone or Magneton rather. Yeah, not too much to talk about here, honestly. They're just really awesome, really strong, really good mons. People are gonna be like, "Oh my god, Pog levitate!" Yes, it's very good. Don't get me wrong, especially in this case because he has so little weaknesses to begin with. Like he has 1 immunity, 2 4x resists. He's basically resistant or immune to every type in the game besides 5. He has 2 weaknesses with levitate to fire and fighting, and then only weak to water, ghost, and neutral to water, ghost, and dark. And of course, it does kill water types. And you do have Dazzling Gleam for dark types. Ghost is there though. Ghost is just an awesome offensive type. But yeah, really great stuff here. Really happy with how they turned out. So I hope you guys found this informative or interesting. If this type of hack seems appealing to you or like something you'd want to try out, obviously it is not available for playing yet, sadly. However, you can join my Discord server to play my older hack if that is interesting to you. Of course, you can check out all these changes for yourself in the description, and you can also talk to me on that server if you want. Anything you really, if you feel like joining, you can. Yeah. Last things I want to say is if you did listen this far and you are new, it would be very helpful if you could subscribe. I think you should. If you listen this far, you're probably interested. So, check out my other videos. I have tons of other videos for Pokemon changes just like this one or even more than this one. Super in-depth hack here, tons of changes. You can check all that out, for yourself. I think that's about it. So yeah, just leave a like, drop a comment down below. That kind of stuff helps with the algorithm, helps boost the videos around. So that's also helpful to me. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one, and goodbye.